Welcome back, me and Morning Lights. Today's date is the 19th of January, just a little bit past 9 a.m. You got the Me Immortals here. We got Juan on this side.
And Karen here on this side.
Now, as usual, we like to have conversations across a variety of topics. Generally, we go deep on a particular topic. We'll philosophize on it with a lighthearted touch. Today's slightly different.
Meanderings, so it's definitely lighthearted.
Correct. The reason for it being a Meanderings is there's a few things upcoming in probably the next few months that we thought, look, it'd be worth discussing, talking openly with everyone who's listening, the Me Immortal Lights at home, around what we are looking to do over the next couple of months around projects, changes, time, all that sort of
Traveling,
stuff.
there was a fair bunch of stuff. I mean, we weren't even planning on doing this today. Juan was meant to be in Canberra.
Correct.
Instead, he's sick and here, potentially spreading his germs to me. We'll see. And I was going to do a solo episode, which I'll do next week now.
Next week, correct. And probably going to time even better, honestly, with the
I think so.
And stuff like that. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
Be on the lookout for that.
I hope so. That'd be great. Which will be all about financial bubbles, which we're definitely coming into a crypto/AI one. But that's next week's topic. This one came up because, well, I guess just about our goals, right? We're working on two things. I forgot to really talk about what one of my goals was in it because I got sidetracked by the second thing I wrote, I think. So I'm going to start a new podcast. Correct. This was kind of one of the impetus of this. One, we'll talk about his soon as well. It's going to be called Mere Morpheus, just because it's about the Morpheus AI project. It's going to be very similar to the Value for Value in terms of Value for Value podcast in terms of the way I set it out, the way I do it. So I'll do like mini seasons of it. Those seasons will probably change in terms of the direction or what I'm talking about in that season. So the first one will be very much kind of the philosophy of it. And then I might talk more about later projects that are actually working within it, maybe even do some interview style things. What I would probably do is an interview on the Me Immortals channel and just cut out any of the AI snippets that I talk about with that person and put it separately over onto its own separate podcast.
Well, so like snip out the AI bits and put it specifically
and maybe add like an extra bit of context or something like that to it. So anyway, that's way too far in the future. I should probably start it off first. So I'm planning on starting that first episode in 8 days' time. Is the general gist of what I was thinking. And yeah, I'm just excited for it. So it's sort of like it's taken, like, why am I doing this? I guess the impetus is very much the same with the Value for Value show, which was like, I just feel I need to do this. I want to jump in on this and explain my own, just get it out of my head and onto something concrete. And I have been definitely, now the thing with this one, and I've got to be really careful with this one because it's involving a coin, essentially.
True, yep.
And what I've noticed with a lot of people is they really fuck things up where they think that, I don't know if they think they're too smart or they just don't realize consequences of just doing something and thinking like, oh, it'll be fine. We could have followed this path in the NFT craze or the meme coin craze. Yep. You know, you floated the idea, or one of us floated the idea back in 2021. It was like, oh, we could create an NFT. Sure, we could have. And we could have just been like, oh, it's a fucking laugh. Here, we'll create it. But then if people actually bring traction to it and then it's tied to our effort and what we're doing, you can get into some really, I don't know how, I want to say weird, but it's even more than that. It's like unintended responsibility.
Yeah.
Look at Moonbirds with Kevin Rose, which was meant to be a fun art project style thing. And it ended up just like people lost bank when it went up to crazy levels, people chucking in hundreds of thousands of dollars for an NFT. And then it goes down to, like, I don't know, tens of thousands, if not just thousands. Yep. And they're all blaming one dude, Kevin Rose, for this. Yep. And he is just like, I need to take ketamine because I'm so fucking stressed out for this. So I definitely need to be very careful in terms of, I'm not going to be spruiking it. I'm talking about the philosophy of it, not price action or anything. But yeah, I've got to. That's one of the things I'm going to be very careful about when I'm doing it. So
yeah. Always got to be careful when you're talking specifically so individual. Like you're not even going to be talking. Are you going to be talking more broadly about AI itself, or it's going to
Morpheus? It's going to tie into it. So, for example, there's a whole suite of AI agents coming out now, which are getting very popular. AI XBT. There's the Virtuals protocol, which has ELIZA as one of them. So there's all these frameworks for where you can create an AI agent and it has a token attached to it, truth terminal as well. From what I've gathered from this, it's very much still, there's a slight glimmer of like actually something there, but the vast bulk of it is just people wanting to gamble money. Maybe perhaps meme coins aren't as popular, so holy shit, look at these things. If you actually want a perfect example of people fucking things up, the Bankless guys so they've started like an AI side. Do you know who Bankless is?
Yes.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, they're pretty much like the biggest Ethereum podcast. They have like a separate mini venture now, which is all about AI. AI. And so it's like a roll-up that they have these weekly roll-ups where they talk about the crypto market news, very focused on Ethereum. They've started a new one, which is all about AI news. And they had like a kind of co-sponsor on there, or a co-host. And this co-host started a DAO. It was meant to be like, he was like, we did it in like, we started in a downturn in the market. It's like, downturn, man. The AI is like the fucking hottest thing on crypto Twitter. They like released a bunch of tokens. Bankless had some. They immediately sold some from their, Bankless portfolio venture. Of course, the hosts, David and Ryan, claim no responsibility. It's like, we didn't even know it was like our underlings who were doing it. It's like, even if that is the case, you fucked up big time, and they won't. Like they're barely accepting any responsibility for it. And it's just one of those ones where it's like you're fucking around and you find out when people realize like, oh, you're dumping tokens on people. You've got this dude on your show he isn't explicitly endorsing it, but you're endorsing him, and it's just one. There's
a fine line between it being shilling to informative and
accepting responsibility of like, it happened under your brand, but you weren't the one actually pulling the trigger. But
it's kind of the equivalent. And this gets to the conversation, which there's going to be a part of it that we're talking about today, which is sponsorships. What if someone on the Morpheus side of things says, "Oh, you're talking about it. I'm going to send him 1,000 Morpheus. Keep going. Like, I don't want you to talk about this, and here's the details." If it comes to that, is your mindset, "No, I'm not going to accept that."
So one of the things. So basically. Here's one little thing. I'll probably explain it in there. And I haven't fully fleshed this out yet, but I'm definitely going to run value for value on it, on the Morpheus, and I'll make that very clear and explicit. You can get code, like weights attributed to you for participating in the open source project. And I don't know 100%, but I think creating a podcast, being informative, education, I could apply for that. And so but then I don't like that incentive where I need to continue doing it constally
to be able to reap the rewards that are coming from
that. I don't want that. I don't want that lingering back thought in my mind.
Yeah, that attachment which is kind of like a sponsorship of, but you have to do X amount of work.
Yeah, there's
to obtain whatever the value of it is.
There's a fine line between all things. When it comes to building brands, there's certainly, I think people are just a bit cavalier, to be honest. Another great example recently, there's perfect timing with all this stuff. Do you know what Honey is?
Honey?
The
on the website?
It's a browser extension
you
add.
Yep.
So there's a video that came out recently on the Honey scam exposed.
Okay.
Can't remember the main guy's name who typed it in. Just type in Honey scam. It'll probably be the first that comes up on YouTube. And basically, browser extension, which was meant to give you discount codes, but instead it was kind of like stealing referral links from other people who were sharing products, and it would insert its own referral link into there. So other creators, so big ones like Marcus Brownlee, for example, all these sorts of people, they had some honey sponsorships for a while, or were promoting it as an ad on their channels for, I don't know. I think it's more of an American thing. I never personally saw this ads for it, nor the extension.
I never saw ads for it, no. So I've had the extension once before.
Okay. Yeah. Shit. Well, I'm participating in the scam. Juan got scammed. And PayPal eventually bought this thing, and it's essentially like, it's probably not illegal, but it's fucking is it dodgy. Like dodgy as shit. Once again, I watched Marcus Brownlee talk about this, and like there's just zero accountability for him promoting and adding this. He's like, I deleted those videos, as if that just resolved him of all responsibility. It's like, I don't know. I really feel that people don't take care of their brands a lot, or they're not meticulous with it. Now, probably because they're growing their channel and doing it much faster and more successfully than we have. But there's so many times where I'm just like, how could you not see that coming? How could you not? And if you did, I guess it's for him, like if I had to put myself in his shoes, he takes so many sponsorships from so many random people. And of course you can't vet all of these things. And when you're relying on advertising, that's just the name of the game. Like, you got to do it. Another classic example, like Peter McCormick with what Bitcoin did, had BlockFi as sponsorships for ages. And then BlockFi went under, and people lost a whole bunch of Bitcoin from it. It's just like, he took some responsibility for it, sure, but I don't know. There's what always comes back to advertising for me, and why I think it's just so dangerous.
Yeah, I mean,
anyway, Juan's going to do some sponsorships and that.
There is, and that's the thing. I think there's a risk. There's a risk in it, in that, of course, something might end up failing. It's similar in. I'd extrapolate it even further. It's kind of like the same risk that you might see in an investment, whether from a financial asset perspective. Kind of like even us going to as far as saying, Ethereum, we're talking about meme coin, even talking about Bitcoin. If 5 years from now, 10 years from now, some horrible thing happens and it goes $0, I don't think we're gonna have in our mind like, we're so sorry that we talked about this as like a investment asset or like a potential thing. We wouldn't do that. Like, I think there's definitely some very obvious or maybe more highly likely scenarios where something's going to be a shill or it's going to actually tank. I won't even name this particular coin, right? But I know of this particular coin that I saw being, the typical like, we're going to ICO, and it's the people who are posting about it, which are social media people, are saying it's going to 6 to 10x. It's gonna do it no matter what. Don't even worry about it. This is going to go fantastic. Again, that is obviously very, very terrible signs. Now, if this particular company, let's say, reached out to you and said, hey, we're going to release this coin, we're looking to 10x it, in a day. If you promote it, we'll give you X amount of money from it or whatever. Like, if you look at that at face value, there's a small, slim chance that, okay, it does do that, and then it continues on and becomes like a really powerful force in meme coin land. More realistic is it's going to go up, people are going to sell out, make some money, people are going to get caught in the crossfire of that, be buying, lose money, blah, blah, blah. So, like, to me, that's like a very obvious, there's no way I'm getting involved with that. The likelihood of it not working out for a lot of people is significant. No way. Like, that's not going to be something that I promote nor want to get involved in. I think that's the danger of advertising, sponsorships, when you attach your name to something that either doesn't align to you or two has the high probability of going to absolutely like tits up. Now, if someone like Nike, let's just say a brand that for whatever you think of them or the practices, one, Shoe Dog from Phil Knight. So like Phil Knight's story of how he came about to building Nike, really cool. Book
review on the other channel. Go check it out.
Want to see that? But for me, I go, if Nike came and talked to us and said, look, I really enjoy maybe what you're talking about with fitness and health. And you know what? I see that you're doing this idea. We'd love to sponsor it in the sense of we could provide clothing and whatever else. part of me then, again, as you kind of said, as long as it's not attached to how we create our brand, then I'm all for it, especially if it's aligned to what I believe in. Because then in that aspect of it, I go, okay, well, like I'm not going to say I'm a detractor of Nike. I wouldn't be talking super positively about them. But if there's like good quality material,
bro, I've got my oldest lasting shirt is a Nike shirt.
Okay,
I've had this. I remember wearing it at uni, and I had it before then. So I reckon I've had this shirt since 2011, and it's still going strong.
It's a good lasting.
Like it doesn't. It's fraying a little bit just in the like
hem of it.
the hem. But other than that, man, this shirt is rock solid. So
what I'm saying in that aspect is if someone like them, or again, Under Armour, whatever, brands that I generally have nothing against, but I would be supportive because I purchase the products themselves, I would see myself doing something with them if chance was opportune, as long as, and it's very clear, as long as our brand wasn't detracted or subtracted from or manipulated anyway. So here's the other part I guess it'd be worth talking about. So I'll talk about the fitness stuff that I want to do. So Karen was talking about the Mere Morpheus.
Yeah.
That's going to be coming up.
Sorry, just to tie that bow up. So one thing that I'm coming around more to is this kind of like brand, I don't know what you call it, like a swappage or whatever it is.
I would call it more collaboration.
Collaboration.
I think collaboration is probably a good
word for it. I went to the Soso's Run Club yesterday, and they were doing something with Muscle Nation. Yep. And I was like, I don't know what this is. They just mentioned that something about Muscle Nation on their upcoming events. All they said was like 16th of January or 17th, whatever date was yesterday. Muscle Nation, Soso's Run Club X Muscle Nation. It's like, okay, nice. There was double the amount of people there, man. It was ridiculous. And the only reason I could see was that there was
some collaboration being done.
They weren't giving out merch from what I could tell. Maybe they were, but they didn't really mention it. And I was just like, okay, yeah, they got certainly much more people coming into this. Something good happened from this. And
it sounds like you finally went to one where you got to see like heaps of people there.
There was a lot of people there, man. It was wild, probably like 200 plus. Yep. So collaborations like that, I think they kind of make sense. And then also, finally tying up the AI. I will talk about things that are happening with AI. So all the agents, for example, and then how that relates to Morpheus. So there will be sections where I'm talking about why I think AI is doing this thing. This is how it relates to Morpheus. So it's going to be a bit of both.
Good. Okay. Yeah. Yep. And we'll get back to the actual specifics. I want to ask you questions about the specifics of how the Immortalites out there are going to consume it in a moment. I'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about that difference that's going to come. So for me, one of the things I've talked about already, but the Immortals in Motion. So the Immortals in Motion was something I did.
So what's the name of the
Immortals in Motion?
Okay.
So like years ago now, I was doing, I had it in my folder for ages, basically what I would call Mere Mortals in Motion. If you want to get, if you want to go back in history,
it's in the feed.
It's in the feed. If you want to go back in the history, I started with 4Ms, which was Mere Mortals Monday Movement.
Yeah.
And it was something that I was doing, basically a clip off my phone on a Monday. I would kind of do a small edit and I was posting them out. They were easy to create. Cool. That was coming out on Mondays. And then that went away because I was like, okay, I think I did like 50 of them or something like that. And then I moved into doing Mere Mortals in Motion a couple of months or years later, besides the stuff that we were doing. And I did a few things around my training phases that I was doing of swimming and running and whatnot. And I did quite a few sessions of videos around that. Again, it was fun to do, basically. Okay, now for 2025, I basically thought, hey, I'd like to do something like once a fortnight, roughly in cadence, to talk about fitness. I've already released the foundations episode as to why I wanted to do it. But in short, the reason I want to do it is because, one, I enjoy fitness and health. I like talking about it. It's easy. So it's aligned really, really well. So two, probably some Mere Mortalites out there who, similarly, if they follow us, you probably want to hear that sort of conversation. And there's enough things that I'm doing this year that it'll motivate me to talk about it more. One thing that we used to do in our Meanderings way back when was talk about interesting things that we've done this week, things that we're interested in coming up, all that sort of jazz. We're now I do have a few things coming up this year. A half marathon. In a couple of weeks, I'll be doing the Fittest in the City Brisbane competition as well. So there's
what date's that? If people wanted to come out and watch you.
I think it might be 1st of February.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. Whatever that weekend is around there. So not next week, the week after.
Yeah, that's very close.
Yeah. I've done, by the way, zero prep. I've literally done zero prep. I've not met a single individual of my team members who is doing it, apart from a mate of mine who invited me.
Yeah.
There's supposed to be a training session this afternoon, which I'm like 50-50 as to whether I even go because I'm not feeling too crash hot.
So that's 1st of Feb is a Saturday. Does that sound right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay. 2nd is a Sunday.
Maybe second.
Okay.
Maybe second.
Is it a morning thing?
It's an afternoon thing.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
Right.
So
won't affect the podcast.
So it's kind of like, look, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I can see enough things that I want to be doing the fitness and health conversations about specifically, and I think we talked about. I'll leave that for a moment. Part of that we're talking about from the sponsorships and ads. So you would have seen me on Model Lights at Home. I did a clip video around a product that came out my way, which was Magic Mind. Now, these guys, I'll keep the story short. Basically, they sent us a couple of emails, and maybe another thing to add, we now get through our inbox, I reckon once a week easily, a request for something.
Yeah,
once a week we'll get a request. Once a week we'll at least get a request for, hey, can you go and interview this person?
Yeah.
Hey, like this product, is there a product that you want to be aligned with? Back in the day, we used to get a lot of, hey, we can clean up your website and your videos and stuff like that. We don't get as many.
Yeah.
We don't get as many of them anymore.
We'll get onto that. We'll get onto the website.
So then in my mind, I go, oh, right. There's enough coming through. This Magic Mind product came up. Seemed interesting. The guy was actually being genuine, I guess, in the connecting with it. He sent me out the products, right? So I didn't pay for it. They sent me the products. I tried them. I did a review on it, which is what I thought that's what we could do. I sent it back to them. I talked openly. You can go and check that shit, like the magic mind of what I thought about it. It was pretty cool, right? And then they kind of came back, and this is what sort of prompted more of a conversation. They've come back around, hey, we'd like to, and I followed through basically just to see all the details, but they would like a sort of, not injected, but a natural ad that comes up as part of the product and how it's being used in some of our podcast conversations that we're having. And it does specify, either like in interviews
the
or
tone,
in a podcast,
how to say it, length of of how long it should be, this sort of thing. Yeah.
Realistically, it's like what you'd expect a product out there paying some sort of creator to go and create something. In this case, they've once again now sent me some product, right? But this is where we got into the conversation with Karen around. We've made it very clear, and this will not change. This will actually not change. This show that we're doing right now, which is the Mere Mortals podcast, which I think perhaps we haven't defined it.
We'll talk about that soon. Maybe name change.
Yeah. So there may be a name change.
Slight.
Very slight. So Mere Mortals will never change. So getting ahead. So I'll finish this bit. The fitness part of me went, okay, yeah, I can probably talk a little bit more specifically like that in a collaboration with a product that I find aligned, similar like an Under Armour or Nike or something else. If they wanted to do a collab and it fits with what the hell I'm talking about, sure, absolutely, definitely. There's some very, very clear collaboration or connections with some of the way that I live my life now with this product. I'd be like, you know what? It makes sense. Like I'm actually doing or using these sort of things. Happy to talk about it. What I'm still on the fence about then is the form of payment or the value that I'm getting versus the value I am asking for others as well. So that's where I'm still holding the line. I'm not saying that this will change. It will never change because there might be a stupid offer that comes around and you're like, well, is there some middle ground that sits here? But for me, like I say, with this product or any future one, I still don't see the value in me saying, okay, and go use that product and then we'll get money for it. And I think part of that is that there's no, like, I feel like the value that I'm providing in the conversation with it should be enough that you can go take that decision on your own, right? Money, like monetary benefit from that. Not that it's unjust, but I then see myself, kind of like how you were saying, I'm then putting myself in debt to the person who's gone and bought it. I put myself in debt in that. If they then go buy that and they don't like it, then it tarnishes the brand of the Mere Mortals. That's a real difficult thing. So if it was a product that we'd created, like let's just say for instance,
we've got shirts on now.
But think of like Chris Williamson, James and the whole team who does Newtonic, right? They promote Newtonic.
Like energy sports drink.
Yeah. But now they've got it in cans, pill forms, powder forms, and they got it in different forms. So in that aspect, and like they talk about it, I'm sure they'll give links out. If we had done something like that, of course we'd be doing it.
Yeah.
But here's the difference.
That's how many podcasts are created, because people, it's essentially advertising, but it's your own brand. So
correct.
It's not I don't know what you call that. Yeah.
But I guess the reason
marketing. That's just called marketing.
And look, part of that I go, why does that seem like more attuned to? Yep, that's cool versus being like in the iffy. And I think it's because like I either truly believe in the product, or I created the bloody product, or I want people, like I'm putting my name behind something. And that, I think like you were saying, some people or creators or individuals will very lightly use that. I think we more think about it like, okay, now that's a heavy burden. If you put your name behind something, that's a really heavy burden. Probably people who don't have been in a work industry for a very long time. Like if you're new to the work force, you probably don't see this as much. But for me now, it's been 10 plus years that I've been in workforces. It becomes more and more important, the weight behind your name and the brand and what you can do. Again, I've talked about this beforehand, but what are we in 2025? Since 2019, I'd say. So for 6 years now, I have literally gotten roles and jobs purely by like either what I have done beforehand or just who I am. That's it. It's no like, oh yeah, but can you do this? None of that. It's purely
detailed examination into ones.
Yep, that's it. That's all that comes from
catalog. Yeah,
and I think I see that now with the mere models, where we are starting to get past the 5 year stage. Back in the day, I had my mum. We had a couple of friends listening to this. Now,
we still have your mum.
We still have my mum, but now it's varied. The numbers, move and change and wane and get higher or lower, but it's increasing. And with that comes a little bit more. We have to have respect for the brand, what we say. And so, getting it back to the fitness one, I go, okay, well, my plan there is, as I said, go check out the foundations to see the full detail. I'm going to do lots of conversations around fitness and health. Again, do I bring in a person for a conversation? I did say in it that it would be really fun to have interviews with people who are aiming for the 2032 Olympics. So that was, I think I put the title as like Olympic hopes. But my Olympic hopes there is like, if you know someone out there, hopefully in Brisbane, but maybe Australia based, who's aiming for the 2032 Olympics, I'd love to have them on. Like it would be a really fun conversation with probably like a really young person who's like gunning for what it is. And it's in 8 years time, 7 years time. So
7 years, jeez, that's getting close.
Yeah. So it'd be fun. It would be a real fun conversation.
Yeah. So you have some 13-year-olds on,
Yeah, well, one that would be fun to have combo. I imagine with it's like that gout guy who's 16 and like running like ridiculously fast. That would be really fun. It would be a fun conversation.
Sure.
But again, so based on that, there's this potential collaboration with Magic Mind. I've gone back to them and said, look, I don't care for the link itself, because as we said, I would be happy to give the value of, I'll talk about the product if it fits in with the things I'm doing. I'll call out the support that they've provided, but I won't go down the path of chasing and saying, hey, you, Mere Mortal Light number 7, listening to this, go buy it and use my link so I can get 2 pennies. I'd care more about, hey, the value is actually in our model, which is if you want to support us, there's a model for that. If you want to then go and leverage that and go support it elsewhere, feel free to do that. You don't have to do it through our channel. I'll talk about next, this came to mind, something that we used to do with some of our book reviews, I don't no longer do, although you can still find it on the website, is I was putting book reviews that we were doing on as website pages.
Referral links.
And I was putting referral links to Amazon, and we set up an Amazon account to be able to do that. I think we actually, one person actually did
really?
Yeah. We actually, and we lost that money because you have to have a certain amount every 180 days or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever.
Yeah, we got
but there, I'd be okay with suggesting a referral link, because I'm very directly, if I'm talking about a book, in a book, we're recommending or not recommending or giving it shit or whatever. It's our personal view. Then for someone to go and read that book, I don't feel like I'm connected to the fact of, you obviously have to take that on and take it as whatever source you want. And there is some benefit financially, but it's like easily called out. And I felt a lot better from doing that than the other models that we're doing. Because again, it's just kind of supporting us by going and reading a book, let's just say.
Yeah.
In any case, so that's like the path forward that I'll be looking to do from fitness. And
so let's just zoom out.
So let's zoom out now.
So Mere Mortals, when we first started this, it was just let's just do a podcast. I was telling someone the other day, we were using the GoPro. I actually just brought this back.
Somewhere, yep.
I found it deep in the box of Chiron of just random assorted crap that I've got.
Yep.
I found that. Also got some of the new shirts. New shirts. They're new because they haven't been worn before.
Correct.
We still got a bunch of these.
Fresh shirts,
correct. And, we're doing it on a paint can with 2 mics, which we still use in my parents. That house is now sold.
Correct.
So we can't even go back there for like nostalgia reasons unless we break into that house and say like, hey guys, we used to record our shitty podcast here.
No. What it'll be is like in 12 years' time, this will be such a behemoth that we'll buy the house back, and that'll be the studio. That will be the studio.
Yes. That'll be good memories. So, we started off literally just like, let's try this thing out. We're talking about doing a podcast for a while whilst I was traveling. Let's just do this. And then we started adding the book reviews in, and I was like, we should probably split this off into its own channel. Good decision for the audio stream. Probably bad decision for the YouTube channel. Because from what I gather still, YouTube, it's better just to conglomerate everything together unless, I don't know, it's still kind of hard to tell.
Yep.
In any case, what we started realizing is like, we can't fit everything that we want into just one place. It's just too chaotic. One wants to do little mini things. I want to do book reviews, solo stuff. We've always, we're still pretty much aligned on just not exactly what Mere Mortals is, the overall philosophy of what we want to do. Like, we want to hang out. We're just mere mortals, but we're trying to do some crazy shit as well. And it's worth highlighting these things. And we enjoy highlighting these things. There's a whole bunch of reasons. What, especially recently, it's like, okay, well, I want to start another podcast. Juan wants to start another podcast. The advertising / sponsorship deal that Juan was talking about, I'm not comfortable with that being on Mere Mortals podcast, but we're already getting to the point where it's like, we've got so many different fucking things going on. We probably need to be explicitly clear. So we've always just said, Mere Mortals podcast, whatever. Yep. I think there's just going to be a slight change, which will be Mere Mortals podcasts. That extra S at the end.
Yep.
Makes a big difference, people.
Big difference.
And so essentially, it's just going to be, each one of those will be its own independent thing. And, I've been very explicitly clear, like, I really love value for value. I detest advertising. So anything that I'm involved with, I'm not going to have anything that's close to sponsorships or advertising. Correct. So the Mere Morpheus, the Mere Mortals book reviews, and this one in particular, value for value as well, obviously. If one wants to do something, for his Mere Mortals fitness, he's finding Nike's approaching him saying, hey, or Mere Mortals Emotion, Nike's approaching him, that's awesome. One can do that, and that's all on him. If it'll still be under the Mere Mortals brand, but that is very much his particular thing.
Correct.
I'm even like looking at some of the stuff that, so the Mere Mortals book reviews, for example, I tried promoting value for value on there for quite a while, especially talking about the apps and being able to send in Boostagrams, things like that. Never really took off. I got a couple. Cole McCormick live in the chat. He sent 1 or 2 in. I know Peter has as well, but it certainly didn't get as much traction as we found on this show. And so at some point, I'm like, okay, but I'm just going to transition to talking about PayPal now. Even PayPal, we got a very generous one from Vratislav a couple of weeks ago. Even that one, I'm like, I look at how most other book review channels do, and you can ask yourself, okay, are these all people just copying each other of how they kind of set out their book reviews and especially how they monetize them? Or have they all experimented with stuff and found, okay, this is probably the best way of doing it? And most of them use Patreon. Yeah, look, I've had issues with Patreon in the past in terms of just some of the practices. You're still very much setting yourself up for getting kicked off of that platform at a whim's notice. Check out the interview I did with Justin Fox a while ago, and he was doing boudoir photography, and Patreon was one of his main sources of income. Nevertheless, we literally just talked about how PayPal has a very dodgy scam company involved with it, you know, under their auspices, and yet I'm telling people to go to, here's a PayPal link down below. So is switching to a Patreon model any much different? You know, most of one of the things they do with the book reviews is they typically have additional subscriber only content on the Patreon. Would I do that? Probably not for the full book reviews, but I could, and this is going away from value for value, but I could definitely see like, maybe I would put only stuff there, extra notes that I didn't end up cutting, or I cut from the main book review and just putting up on there as an additional thing. It's something that I wouldn't post anywhere else. And it's like, you know, maybe people who are really into the book reviews will get value from this, and they, fucking pay for it. But I don't know. This is one of those ones where I'm an idealist. I've got idealism in me, and yet that doesn't always work. Yeah.
Look, and I think I'll two parts. I'll define some of these things as well for individuals at home, because either you're interested in it, or maybe you are also equally creating content out there, or a podcast or something else, and you have thought about this as well. One aspect of it is that, top level brand, it's Mere Mortals, right? That's going to be across everything. Then you're going to have Mere Mortals podcast and the book review. Now, this is what the specifics is on YouTube, which is one of like the main platforms that we do place things into from a video format. It will remain as two. It will be the Mere Mortals podcasts. I think we should change that name.
Yes.
Yep. And then Mere Mortals book reviews.
And that's just because it's already set up.
Correct.
The book reviews, it's
and I think the YouTube does really well in that you can like you can split out the different types of streams, I guess.
Yeah, create playlists. I think it's actually getting better at just recommending that, because there are channels which will do mini stuff, longer stuff, and I feel just from some of the ones that I'm following, it's learning a bit to know, like, okay, Karen likes this kind of length video or these type of ones, and not showing me other ones. So, for example, Real Vision, which I tend to follow a bit, they've got it's like a crypto specific thing. Now, Real Vision is bigger platform, focused mostly on macro stuff. So it's talking about stocks, it's talking about bond yields, talking about commodities, but they've got a specific one for crypto. And that one is the one that will show up on my feed every now and then. And it's like, okay, well, that's completely different from their main channel, yet it's still serving that to me. So
I think
that's kind of what we'll be doing. We'll just putting all of the Mere Mortals, apart from the book reviews, because that's already set up, so we'll just continue that.
And I mean, specifically to YouTube, that's the one. Funny enough, it's like we haven't really changed the model of the Mere Mortals book reviews probably since inception. It's, we've played around with the way that we talk about it. I've introduced doing both the book review and then the book learnings to come behind that. Look, I wouldn't have said that we have changed it that dramatically in comparison to other things we have done, but that's just growing purely by time. Like that's, if you expose it against time, it's just the very common of it's been there longer. There's just more people day in, day out that start listening to it more. There's like a certain amount of impressions.
It's a bit more timeless than some of the other things that we talk about, perhaps.
That's true as well. Yeah. Like there's quite a few that pop up. Like for me, I see the book review I did on Treasure Island. That always seems to get quite a bit every month. The one that obviously you've done from Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
Yeah, so I think that's actually not as popular as it once was, because it was like a guaranteed certainty to break 10K views at some point, and then I don't think it's even reached that yet. I think it's died off a lot. That probably coinciding with Jordan Peterson's
reduction.
If you did a graph of its views with Jordan Peterson just as a whole, you'd probably find that there's
some trends behind it. Yeah,
probably something like that.
So to be specific, over on like more video formatted side of things on YouTube, like I guess the main place you're talking about, you're going to just see two, and then there's going to be those various splits of Mere Morpheus. You're going to do a video version of Mere Morpheus? Yeah. Okay, so you'll see them all like that. Audio side of things is where it's going to be different, because then we're going to have Mere Mortals podcast, what we do right now, which, look, we might change to Mere Mortals Conversations.
Yeah.
Naming wise,
it's probably because if we just say mere mortals, then that's the brand. So it's probably easier to say like
could just call it Mere Mortals Podcast. We could just call it, again, help us out here at home. If you have any ideas what we would call it, but basically audio wise, there'll be the Mere Mortals conversation that we're doing right now, which is our Meanderings, musings, interviews.
Plus interviews,
then there'll still be the Mere Mortals book reviews, but there will be a new stream for Mere Morpheus. There will be a new stream.
For the audio, correct.
Yeah. For the audio, there'll be a new stream for the Mere Mortals in Motion, which I created
did you want
thumbnail
to
today.
Split off all the previous ones that you've done and already have that at the start of the stream? So you're starting it off with like fucking
No, I thought about this, but no. So what I'm going to do is that I already have one, the foundational one that I talked about, and I've got another one scheduled for next week to be released. Mm-hmm. I'll just move them, so there's going to be 2 there already.
Sure.
And I'll just, in essence, for my one, I think it'll be roughly 2 to 3 per month that'll be coming out. Mm-hmm. So then I'll be saying, look, if you want to go follow that particular one through the audio, it's going to have its own audio one, but video is going to have that aspect of it. So, that's just the definition, the difference that will exist there. Again, all under the Mere Mortals brand. So from a mechanistic perspective, that's going to be the path forward. I guess hopefully helps people understand where we're going to be attempting to change some things over the year.
Sure. Now let's jump into the Boostagram Lounge, and then there's a couple of just additional specific things I wanted to highlight, I guess, at the end. Now, this is also something that's probably going to change a little bit. We slightly talked about this in a previous episode. I'll bring it up again because I've still just got all my notes here where I was asking, oh my God, next week's episode, Jesus Christ, that could be a long one, even though it's just solo. Like I've got so many notes here. Jesus. So I remember asking you before, what are we optimizing for when we're talking, because we don't have any Boostagrams this week, do we?
Correct.
So once again, sad puppy. And this is something that's been recurring a little bit, and it's also partly due to when were we getting the most? It was when I was having a lot of podcasting people on. I was interviewing Adam Curry, Chris Fisher, what's his name? Sir Spencer, a bunch of the podcasting, Sam Sethi, a bunch of the podcasting 2.0 evolved people. My interest in that undoubtedly has declined a bit. I'm still very interested in it. I still very much love value for value. It's just going to take longer than I thought it was initially. Much longer, which is cool. That's fine. And so that also requires a more, how would I call it? A steady stream of effort, of consistency, rather than those big bursts that I was doing. Which also means we're probably getting less Boostagrams because our audience, just in general, has tended not to use those. So, and once again, it'll probably take a while for all the new wallet setups that they're talking about doing. That's probably 6 months to a year, perhaps more, until a lot of that is set up. So, should we still talk about the Boostagram Lounge, but perhaps alter it slightly and talk about things? Once again, if we're optimizing for money, PayPal might be the worst. Easiest for people to onboard, perhaps, is Patreon. We could experiment with cutting edge, being with Strike. We could be talking about how someone could help, help with downloading a wallet. We could be more specific on saying, like, this is how you download a Fountain wallet and listen to the podcast. Should we, once again, be going more towards creating a community in the Discord, or betting on us via token or NFT? No. Spreading word of mouth, would interacting us with on social media posts. What should we do for more audience interaction, I guess is my question to you. And the Boostagram Lounge in particular, should we change that section to something slightly different where we have a more simple ask, an easier ask for the audience at home?
Yeah, that's a good
in particular point. For this show is what I'm referring to there.
Yeah,
business as usual.
Yeah, no, look, I think part of it, there might be a bit of a, maybe adding extra options to what we use the Boostagram Lounge for, in exchange or in lieu of maybe the amount of Boostagrams that are coming through. So again, what do we enjoy about part of a Boostagram would have been a comment or a question or something like that.
Correct.
Part of me thinks is we could look back on the week because we do get comments and queries in a wide variety of all of our other places. For instance, there was a clip that Karen did a long time ago on a book review where he was saying that is it Heidegger? What's his name?
Heidegger.
Heidegger was incomprehensible.
Yes,
and
correct.
man, everyone loves to ravage Karen about that.
Well, it's very mixed. It's controversial.
It's controversial.
A whole bunch of people say
some
indeed.
people align with you, some people don't.
Heidegger is incomprehensible.
Yep. There's no in between.
Useless, and then a lot of equally amounts of people are like, you should probably look at your intellect because
that's what it's like.
Yeah.
So like part of it is look, if in lieu of Boostagrams, I think it could be fun to within this particular show as well have conversations about some of the other commentary coming through because again that's audience engagement, right? That is still engagement in other forms. So that's one aspect of things like that.
The thing with that is it's just from they're talking about stuff that was from years ago, and it's not hard for me to do an additional post on Twitter, for example, asking for, hey, we're doing a show on X topic this week. What do you want to hear about? Or what would you think if I said that crypto is going to X level or some, just
I think
not necessarily controversial, but
I think all of the above. I think it's worth trying that and reviewing what's coming through from a commentary perspective from any other sources, just as additional pieces. Because again, like for me, what do we use it for? It's for engagement with audience, engagement with the Immortal Lights. So wherever that comes from, we can do that. That's totally fine. Because you mentioned this a while ago, the usage of our Discord, which there are, I don't actually know how many people there are in the Discord. I haven't actually looked at the number. In terms of people who have in total have been there, in terms of active is very different. But,
not many active, but
we could very much get more active in that space or in something else. Ultimately, it's what's the value, like a value for value way. What's the value that we would be providing extra or that incentivizes individuals to be going in there? Again, at this point, it's a little bit uncertain to me. It is a little bit uncertain. I can only speak of this personally, like to myself, is that as the years go by, and not in everything, but in a few aspects for me, there's maybe some
45 members.
45 members in total. So, of those 45 members, is there certain things that I could provide on top of what we do already here that might be valuable to them? Like kind of saying, what are some of the things that at least I know I've done a lot of in the past? Fitness and health stuff. There's aspects to business. There's aspects to work. There's aspects of speaking.
That is something that could be there. Honestly, a lot of people just like to hang out and chat as well.
Yeah.
And that's what Discord is more for, for sure. So it's, not everything has to be strategic in a sense. My main, and probably the reason I haven't focused on this more is I've always been a lurker, on all forums and stuff. I certainly more just prefer to see what other people are saying rather than say stuff myself. And that's very indicative of my personality in a whole. One of the things I was thinking about with the Soso's Run Club. So I went yesterday on my own because Juan ditched me.
Correct.
Manchill ditched me, slackers. And I was like, no, I'm going to go anyway, even though, probably like 60% of the reason I was going was just to hang out with you guys.
Yep.
40% was like, I could meet a girl there. It's the new social dating scene for people don't go out to pubs anymore. They go to run clubs. And so I went there. I'm like, I'll do it for that 40% reason. And as usual, the kind of one of the sticking points is I'm not the most comfortable in groups. I can chat with people. But for example, going a bit off topic, but
Meanderings. That's why
it's Meanderings. Went there. I had Butters the dog, which is great because he's good at introductions. Because I just let him roam free. He goes up to people and then I say hi. He roamed over to this group, and as I looked up, I'm like, do you go to Total Fusion? And there was a girl there who I thought I'd recognized the week before or 2 weeks before. I was like, I think I've seen her around and her face is familiar, but I couldn't pick it. And then I'm like, wait, I think she goes to my gym. So I started chatting with her for a little bit. And then the question arises, I'm good at chatting with people one-on-one because I'm a pretty good listener. But when it comes to then the group setting, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to just, she's in a group already. I don't want to just like turn body, fucking like everyone else to my back as I'm just talking to her, which obviously I wasn't like that. I was kind of on the edge of a circle. So we're talking side by side like we are. But then it's like, okay, well, you know, she's with a group here. I don't want to be rude to everyone and not say hi. So then I start talking to the group. But then I'm not the greatest in the group setting. I'm not a clown. I'm not energetic enough to hold a captive audience or things like that.
Sure.
It's one of those ones where it's like, okay, well, it's probably not the ideal setting for me to really meet girls because it's, you know, the whole thing is just being group settings. And whilst I'm more than comfortable being in it, I'm not a standout. You're certainly not going to come away from a conversation of Kyron and with a group of 20 people and be like, that guy's got charisma. That's the guy. Anyways, little side venture there. I can't remember why I got. So getting back to the Discord is sort of. I want to be more communicative on there, but I know it's like a lagging thing where if I'm forcing it, it's gonna be rough. It's not gonna be easy.
Yeah. Look, and this is I'll probably tie it up at this point for change. So, a couple more things just to add. So, I've talked about it before, but in the middle of the year, I'll be going on a big sort of travel away for wedding and honeymoon. And all
I will as well. Yeah.
Karen will as well. I've talked about this before. There'll be some things I'll be pre-preparing in readiness for that. So there'll be some things that come out, but obviously expect that there's going to be some detraction of things, not the same cadence that we've seen in the past.
Very, very much like when I was in Brazil. You know, there's probably going to be more solo episodes thrown in when we're traveling, or one of us is literally in the air or something. There might be some delayed episodes which are pre-recorded. There might be literally a break or two for a week where it's like one's getting married. Like we can't.
Not going to happen. As Karen said, we're going to do it'd be funny if it timed it in. So we'll be doing a podcast at the same time that the wedding's happening.
Yeah.
So it's, honestly though.
But not too much change.
Like, I was kind of thinking like it might be fun to take like 2 microphones because we're going to be
100%
in a villa with our friend Joey. Like we could reenact a very long time episode that we did in episode 5.
We have to do that. So one of the things that I have, once again, connecting something to the brand. So do I feel bad about endorsing Hosky 2 or 3 years ago? And when I say endorsing, I mean like I had him on for 2 conversations, I think. No, especially not right now because it's gone up in price. So and it's pretty close to all-time highs. So literally any effect that I had on anyone. Well, no, that's not true because you can see the episode 5 weeks later, buy it, and then it dips down. So okay, but if you'd held it, it doesn't matter when. This is one of those ones where it's like, I really like Hosky. I think it's funny as shit. It's with its branding, it's impossible to miss the fact that it says this is a rug pull, this is going to 0. That's the whole point of it. And then the paradox of it is that they don't behave like that, which is really funny. That's why I've enjoyed it, why I really enjoy it. I'm probably going to have him on next month for another chat.
Yep.
And in combination with that, in late May, there is the Hosky Summit, which has now been organized. And I don't want to even say roped in. I was just like, I want to go to this thing. And they're like, you're a podcaster. Do you want to host the panel talks? I was like, I'm not the most comfortable in front of live crowds, but I think if I'm just a panelist, I'd be willing to try that. I'd probably be more comfortable than being a speaker in front of a crowd.
A crowd, yeah.
So, literally just saying I'm not the most charismatic in groups and that here I am meant to be like directing the conversation.
Slightly different. It is slightly different.
But in any case, that would probably necessitate having cameras, microphone, audio equipment. So there's a good chance I'm going to be traveling with all of that anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, the podcast will definitely continue on. Book reviews weekly. I intend to be doing that. There's been no stopping in those. Once again, it's like the tiny little ethics of these things. I don't buy any of the books that I read. Mm-hmm. Incorrect. Almost all of them I get from the library. The ones that I bought a couple of like Portuguese books when I was in Brazil because I'm literally going to have no access to those here. Am I then comfortable giving out referral links to Amazon for people to buy stuff, which I'm kind of like,
you already don't do yourself.
Yeah. That's one of those ones where it's like, probably I'm overthinking it. But there's also something slightly in me which is uncomfortable with that. Now, I can probably get over that if the book reviews, we find it, we're doing it, people are enjoying it. Oh, I want to support you. Why aren't you making it easy for me to support you with a referral link? It's like, okay, all right, we'll do it. But yeah, there's all sorts of things related to just tiny little changes like that. So just notice, like, we probably can't talk about every minor change that we're going to do on the podcast because on the podcasts,
sure,
that'll get a bit tedious. Maybe just on the format for your new one that you're thinking of, how long in length? What are you going to talk about in particular? You're going to have graphs and images. What's the mere models in motion?
Yeah, so
going to look like in a more tangible sense.
Yeah, on the specifics, audio wise, so on the audio,
he's going to beatbox all of it.
Yeah. On the audio wise, it would be like what is important to know is that roughly going to be max of 20 minutes. They'll all be centered around one particular topic. Or
single take or cuts?
Single take.
Yep.
Yeah, single take. I don't think I've done any cuts. I guess when you define cuts, I guess it would be like transitions. What would you say by cuts?
Well, cuts is usually if you accidentally say the wrong word, you'll repeat that sentence.
Yeah, I think that's I haven't done an audio cut, I think, since 2021 or 2020 or something.
I did. I think in 2022, I was attempting that with the book reviews, and you'll notice there were some really polished ones.
Yeah.
And they took a whole lot of effort, and I didn't see any.
Yep. I like the raw. Change. I like the raw, just more direct, straight thing. So expect it to be tops 20 minutes because where I'm positioning it in my day-to-day life, it just works out best to do them like that. They're going to be about a particular topic in general each and time, but to do with fitness and health. Largely, it'll be mapped into some of the things I'm doing this year, which would be, again, the running half marathon. It would be about an event that I participated in. So that'll give me the chance almost to just replay, both in my mind and for audiences, what I did, took away from it, learnings. On the video side, I am putting more effort in because you said graphs. I have liked
so it's more current, what you're up to now, what you're experiencing, what you're aiming for, that sort of thing. Because I was in my mind, I had also been thinking of a fitness one for a while, but what I would do with that one is I've got 10 years worth of data of meticulous, basically every weight that I've ever lifted, every handstand I've ever done, other than warm-ups, I've logged, and so I can show over time. It's like, you want to get a handstand push-up? This is what it takes, and this amount of reps from over this many years.
Look, and that would be honestly, that would be interesting. So probably not in that relation to the data. I wasn't thinking about it that way. For its actual structure of the podcast, for the mere models in motion, what I was thinking about was, take for instance, preparing for a half marathon. The first 15 minutes of it might be the breakdown. So I want to try and break everything down to first principles or the foundational reasons as to, why am I doing it? Why thinking about it this way? Where did I get those sources? Where might you go and think about these things? And then a little bit at the end where I'll make it I'll talk more relevancy of like the right now. So where is it applied? What's an example of what happened in the last week or something to that effect, right? There will be less, similar to the book reviews, it will be less about the in the moment thing, apart from the probably like an episode that I'll do about that specific event, and more so foundationally first principles conversations. More that side. Audio wise, that's what you'll see. Video wise, what I've really enjoyed. So again, it with the video especially, it normally follows what I myself consume a lot of. When it comes to videos, anything longer than 10, 15 minutes where people are talking, I do like to see some sort of engagement so that it keeps me wanting to watch it. The only case where it's unique is where it's with maybe an individual that I really want to listen to, and I like just visually getting that absorption as well of information. But what I've really liked about Hormozis, and a few other people do this, is writing on something, right? And I did
We had a whiteboard for ages. We never used it.
We had a whiteboard for ages. We never used it.
Well, we kind of did. We'd do like a little drawing in the first
with the episode numbers and stuff like that.
I think, yeah.
My daughter has a whiteboard actually, A-frame one that she likes to draw in, and I was like, it'd be cool to bring it in. But you'll see it in the next one that comes out. So I've already started doing this. So for people being tuned, not next week, but the week after, I think is when it comes out. Well, you'll see it'll be in the new audio channel. So I'll push that out for people to see. And yes, to see if you're using some of the podcasting apps out there that now allow video, because that's the other push as well. I'm making sure that it's more heavy where video is available on the podcasting apps. It will be there. That video will be available.
Spotify, for example.
Yeah, correct. So
which means you'd have to upload that to Spotify as well.
Correct. But from a video perspective, yeah, it's going to be much more. It's a same with the audio, it'll be there, but there will be an interplay of clips that I'll have taken throughout the week or that are relevant to what I'm talking about. And then what I'm trying to do, which is something that when we and I re-listened to old episodes of ours and when we were talking about things, and it did seem like we had a good structure and place in what we were talking about and the theme and good notes. I am taking much more particular notes on a piece of paper and I'm writing them down.
Oh, yeah.
But what I'll do,
pen and paper.
Yeah. But what I'll do, and the reason I'm doing that is then I'll just record those notes that I'm taking on the video, just so visually. And when I'm talking about it on the actual video itself, I'm just putting down those notes and why I'm talking about it, which I did end up creating a graph from that one about a thought that I had. And I don't know, I find like, that was fun to do. I do find it interesting. And if I'm finding it interesting, then maybe someone else will find it interesting from the video capture way. But that's basically the structure of what they will look like. That new one.
I've still got all of our notes that we used to create and write down. And I've got just a box at home just full of all those.
All the notes.
Yeah, I'm a hoarder in some respects of nostalgia things. I've still got all my uni notes.
I think I used to be like that. I used to be like that up to a point in time. I don't know when that particularly changed, and now I've ventured more towards like, just get rid of it, just lose it. Like I used to have like 3 or 4 boxes. I think it was more a lead-in because of my mum specifically. He used to keep a lot of things for me. And so then in turn, I would also be like, it's really nice to keep these. And I used to have old Christmas cards and something that my cousin gave me like in a little loop. And when I would get it, I would put myself in the position of when I was given it or something like that. And it did have a sentimental value. Yeah. But now more and more it's like
but everything's digital now, so thankfully I'm not really accumulating too much more now you know, in terms of photos and things like there's all the funny thing is, so there was I've still got yearbook photos, for example, from high school, formal, or maybe it was even primary school, and a lot of them had if you don't you can get the downloadable version at this link. Go to that website, just dead link. You know, that was a company from 20 years ago. So it's just like, okay, you know, there is a reason that you want to have your own personal copy of these things. Hence why I have 2 hard drives, which are just backups of all of my stuff, because I know
just in case.
100%. Computer's going to die someday unexpectedly. All of this, you know, I back up. Shamefully, I've been meaning to do this for a while. I still haven't done it. I still don't have a local backup copy of all of our episodes prior to, I think it was 170-ish, is from then on is when I started keeping the local audio backups. But episodes prior to that, I don't have, and I really probably should go to the effort of downloading But this is where this was my AI project once, was not AI, my coding project was to create code that would be able to download and rename them all and put them in specific files for me in a just bam, do it. Other than me going to each one, clicking on it individually, click, download, save as. So I still need to do that. Maybe ChatGPT can... AI
will do. I was going to say, man, don't even worry about learning anymore.
Yeah. I actually need to... I should come over here one day, an hour or two prior, and cause there's a whole bunch of things I want to test with ChatGPT.
It's just out of control powerful in some regards. I'll even... this is for those people who may be interested in property or buying property and whatnot. One of the things that used to take me a long time to do research in property. So again, we're going wild in different areas here. But my property analysis usually would include, I would like to know what the soil or sediment of the land was, angle of the land profile, water flow, overland flow, river land flow, existing easements, any constructions around the area.
Oh my God.
Man, so many, like too many. Hazardous material, so many things. Piping, right? Lots of things. I didn't realize that it only clicked to me like literally yesterday. Wait a minute, I think it might be powerful enough to go and scan for some of these things, especially if I give it the data sets and some of the CISOs. Correct. I can put in any address and it'll go and do a full assessment of all of that, which literally would have taken me an hour in the past. Now it does it automatically. So it's good. It is good in that way. I'm going to wrap this up because I've got to personally head off somewhere as well. Yep. But got some comments as well on the YouTube. So from Cole McCormick and my mum. We have one from Decentralized Creative.
Oh.
Do you know who that is?
That might be. I've forgotten his name. I think he might be from Hive.
Okay. He says a couple of things. He says, one, value for value is a way better philosophy than PayPal. Second one, nobody can kick you off any platform if it's peer-to-peer value for value. And the third is, how about mere mortals, microphone mumblings, memes, mundane, and maybe madness?
That's the title. There is a what is it? A change in how things are titled. God, I was looking at this just the other day where it's it's blank in my mind. I might be able to remember it next episode. But that's a potential one. Just before we finish off, two extra little thoughts and points. With the travels, there might be some changes in locations in terms of where we're living in particular. Mm-hmm. So I think that might be a good point once that happens to once again have another upgrade in terms of things. Like if we're already going to be, you're potentially moving house maybe. I'm probably going to be moving out of my brother's into my own place later part of the year. I think that would be a good point to have another reassess of what we could do to make things like really visually or orderly audio-wise really rock solid. And once again, potentially even upgrading equipment, maybe even hiring that editor that we probably should have been doing a long time ago to create clips. You've been doing really good. Actually, I haven't thanked you for this, but you've created probably for like the past 6 months to a year a lot of clips and extra stuff, and
all clips.
Been posting that. So, which used to be what I was doing, and then I just did I lose interest, or I was just like, this is taking a lot of time, and
it was taking you a lot of manual time.
I think I was also not enjoying the engagement on some of it. Yeah, I remember that. So I created some very popular ones with Pete Smithson, for example, about Elon Musk, and God, just the comments on that was just so trash. If this is what going viral is, I don't really want to go viral.
There was a lot. Yeah, Karen did get some interesting commentary on some of those reels that he created as well. I think overall, though, like at the very meta of the mere mortals, and I still stand with this because it was a good point around the value for value. One of the reasons that we are in the model that we are is because, correct, no matter what, you can't really bring down the mere mortals all the way down to nothing. Like YouTube could crash or disappear. Spotify can go away forever.
I'm not running bare metal servers.
Someone can violate the things, but I guess the way that we're set up in that it's pretty long lasting. It's pretty durable right now. Even if someone doesn't agree, like a platform doesn't agree with what we're talking about, we can be pretty distributed in the way that we're currently releasing, which is a good thing. We want to continue that. But I think underlying the conversation of value for value and the PayPal or the monetary verse, all of them are good. All of them are fine. I think for me personally, the way I see it though is my ultimate outcome for the brand is that we just build it to a space where it's not the being watched by the millions, but being watched by the 1,000 true fans or more that we care about, that they care about us, that it's aligned in some way, because it's there that I do believe we will be able to give other value that's beyond what we're doing. And there's lots of ways you could talk about that then that will actually provide financial benefits to us at that point. Right now, we don't sit at that level. We don't sit at 1,000 true fans. That's my aim, though, that we grow the brand to a point that it does have its quite strong individuals, mere mortals out there that support us. And then that could be whatever, right? Whatever aligns, whether it's apparel, whether it is more specific community things, whether it's events, whether it's whatever. There's lots of different tendrils and ideas, but the bare concept is building up those true fans that actually going to support us, come and doing whatever. And then you actually might be able to provide that value, and that then equates back to financially us. Yeah,
we talked a lot about the monetization and finances in this, just because it's look, at the moment it is neither of us is primary income, and if it ever got to the point where it was, I certainly would be very concerned if it was not value for value related, i.e. it's all coming from one source, or it's all coming from just one particular area which we have no control over. So there's, funnily enough, you can be decentralized by relying on 10 different centralized sources.
True.
That's no one really talks about it in that way. So what are the things that are most valuable? You kind of talked upon it. I got to go to the US last year, and I went to 3 different locations. North America, I should say. I went to 3 different locations. People housed me. People showed me, cool spots. I got to meet, what I hope are lifelong friends from that. And they were only digital friends before that. That experience is so valuable to me that the amount of money they could have and have sent through is a drop in the bucket compared to that experience. And that's certainly what I'm more looking for from the podcast. I would love, the idea in my mind of someone coming across a Hosky video from 5 years ago and it being like that exploding in popularity, that gives me so much more pleasure than perhaps getting on Elon Musk on the podcast, for example, or something like that. Like that, perhaps that's just part of my brain, but I love that aspect more of creating something which is perhaps not in the moment the wildest, craziest viral thing, but has long-lasting value that the people can come back to later and be like, holy shit, like these guys were talking about this thing ages ago.
Yeah.
Or them connecting us solving a problem that they're also having in this particular time, location, things like that. So yeah, the monetary value is, once again, it's important, but it's also a mechanism to know that we're actually making a difference to someone's life in some way, and I hope it's in a positive way.
Yeah. Not just just listening to this and being like, God damn, just wasted so much time in my life. But we might have to leave it there, me and Mortal. So thank you very much for those who have tuned in. I think we have 9 people live right now watching it. So that's very good.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'll probably just say again, just be in tune with the various things that we start sending out there. If you're seeing the new Mere Morpheus and the Mere Mortals in Motion, and from an audio perspective, my call out is support it, because they're going to be brand new stuff. Obviously, it's going to be existing within the platform of YouTube.
You might need to change, if you've got any like links of ours that you've set up, some things will probably change, because I'm going to add an S onto basically our social tags. If you're already followed, like, it shouldn't change, but
it'll break all of the ones that
there's a whole bunch of it's going to be there's going to be a whole bunch of dead links in our feed, because I'm not going to go and change everything. And also the website at some point has got to change. Like it's definitely overkill at the moment. We need to have a live schedule of when we're going live on things, especially if we're doing multiple per week, and having like easy click links for certain things. The website it's good, but it's overkill for what we need.
There's some shifts and changes on it that can be done for sure.
Yeah, so just look out for that as well.
Yep. All right, Mimon, thank you very much for tuning in today. As always, we try to go live 9 a.m s. Be well wherever you're in the world. One out.
Kyron out. Bye.
Ooh, good.
Very good.